work on an example that should sort out the meaning that we're trying to get out of these accounting ratios. And I have here kind of an artificial example where we have two firms, A and B, that are approximately the same size. They are also in the very same industry, and we've gone through and calculated a bunch of accounting ratios about them here, and what we're going to do is flow through a couple of questions to show you how we're supposed to use these things. So the first question we're going to start off with is, which of these two firms would you prefer to lend money to? Now, it's assumed that, again, about the same size, about the same industry, so all their ratios are supposed to be comparable. And so you have to go ahead and sort out which of these ratios you're supposed to be looking at. Now, the way that we describe the ratios, there's two of them that are directly pertinent to this question about which ones you want to lend money to. Now, remember, you can always get through by a convoluted piece of logic from some ratio to this lending question, or from some ratio to virtually any other kind of risk question. But we're aiming for the ratio here that is most closely related to that question that we're looking at. So the two ratios that I want you to glance at are this debt ratio that's right here, and also the times interest earned ratio. Now, the way that we describe the debt ratio is it gives you an indication of the probability that you, as a lender, will get your principal back should they decide not to make any payments, something along those lines. What you have as the times interest earned ratio is supposed to tell you the probability that these firms are going to make their payments on time. So you have these two indicators. The first one, the debt ratio, is kind of a stock indicator. The other one is the times interest earned ratio, is kind of a flow indicator. And it's up to you to, sort out which one is most favorable. Let's first start taking a look at these debt ratios that's right up here for these two firms. You have a debt ratio of firm A of 0.8, a debt ratio of firm B of 0.6. Now I'm going to bring you over to our front sheet, to our accounting ratios, and what you see is the debt ratio is its total liabilities over total assets. And so the idea is that you as a lender will feel safer if the liabilities are small, the numerator is small, relative to a large body of assets. So you as a lender feel safer when the debt ratio is small. So hop on over to these two firms, and they have two debt ratios. You see that firm B has a debt ratio that you should be slightly more comfortable with. And so we'll just go ahead and highlight this one as saying this is the green one. This is the one you'd like to lend to based solely on the debt ratio right now. But examine the other ratio that's pertinent towards that lending risk, and that's that times interest earned ratio. Now this is supposed to indicate, again, the probability that the firm will actually make its payments on time. But let's go ahead and check out the ratio. You can see it's defined as the earnings before interest and taxes over the interest expense. Now, you as a lender would like to see this numerator up here, this earnings before interest and taxes, large relative to the denominator. So what you'd like to have here in order to feel safe is actually a really large times interest earned ratio. That indicates someone who's very, very, very likely to actually make all those payments on time. So a large number is what you're looking for. Heading back over here, you see the times interest earned ratio, and what you spot is firm A has a much larger times interest earned ratio than firm B. It's got to be that firm B just has a whole lot of debt hanging out there. And so we'll put a little green box there for firm A. So now what you're stuck with is a little conundrum. If you look at the debt ratio, firm B looks attractive. If you look at the times interest earned ratio, firm A looks attractive. Now, in order to actually decide which of these two firms you would rather lend to, you probably need a little more information about the firms, and particularly the industry. Think about an industry like, say, consulting. I keep bringing this one up because it has all sorts of interesting characteristics. One of them is that I usually have an amazingly small amount of assets. Right now, believe it or not, I'm sitting in my basement office. I've got a desk. I've got 2 file cabinets that are short. I've got 5 file cabinets that are large. I have 2 laptop computers, 1 desktop computer, and a monitor. And that's just about it that I have hiding around here in my office. And so we're looking here at total assets, which are maybe $3,000. So what if I'm $2,500 in debt? That's no big deal. That's easy to go ahead and collect from somebody. So in the circumstances where the usual amount of assets that are used within an industry is small, maybe you don't care all that much about the debt ratio. What's going to be pertinent then is the times interest earned ratio, and that's really what you have to look at. How much are my interest payments relative to my income coming in? That's probably going to be the thing that's going to be a little bit more relevant. So again, if you're dealing with an industry that has relatively large amounts of assets for the income it's producing, then the debt ratio is probably something important. But if you're dealing with something that isn't, the times interest earned ratio starts to become something which is just a little bit more important. So what we're going to do now is expand the example for working capital in the next screencast.